Today on the Fight Show, our focus is to give you something that will really make it really clear to you guys that we are in a new era, but the possibility of your success is imminent right now because we call this the proverbial olive branch, where we're going to hand you. And what does that mean? It means we're going to show you one step at a time how you are going to make the level of success that's going to happen in your life. It's not going to be some fixated fantasy, but we're going to make it very clear, and we're going to bring on a couple of people that might be insightful to you on how to go about taking the next steps to your combat career. That means no matter what stage of it that you're in, that this next step is going to be a reality. So I hope you guys are ready to take this ride on this Friday evening on the Fight Show, because our job is to make sure that we connect you directly to what you need to make your careers turn full circle. And that's what we're going to do this evening. So we're going to have a special guest on from last night's segment from Triller TV. And we're also going to have words from Oscar De La Hoya and yours truly. We're going to promo one of our insightful videos that's going to air next week. So I want you to stay tuned for that. The education is here. The actual focus is here. And tonight we get it popping once again in the fight world. My name is Eric A. Bradley. For those of you who are late to the channel, you know you are late to this dance, but tonight you get an opportunity to get it popping with us. But before we get started and jump into that, I'd like to say thank you for those who keep the lights on for us and support the combat world. All of those individuals out there right now who are trying to figure out your next step, but you're too busy focusing on your job at hand, which is typically running the gym or fighting. Well, now you have someone that can actually grab that responsibility and paint the yellow brick road out for you. And that's Jab Juice Consulting Agency, taking the combat world by storm by helping them take the next step in their career and helping them clear their vision up. So imagine if everything that's kind of blurred in your head right now, you were able to clear it up just like a towel full of Windex on a window. That's Jab Juice. Jab Juice Consulting Agency. It was very calculating in the design and the development of that. And that's what we're going to do. So as we move forward right now, thanks for Jab Juice for keeping the lights on and the cameras on and careers hopeful. But now it's time to get into some serious getting it popping. Here's a word from last night. And one of the things that I thought would be a very good topic to begin with was one of the clips that really brought us front and center. What is it that we need to do now? And what is it that is missing that we need to add to this recipe? So here's a word from our show last night that really sheds light on the sport and the people that are working behind those curtains and really making it happen. Here's Kim from last night, Triller TV, formerly Fight TV. The combat game is in such a good place. So stay tuned and then hold tight, and we'll get right back to you with some more good stuff. Hold on one second. Here we go. The reason why Tyson and Jake are going to make $50 million collectively is because they both got right on the job the minute they signed the contract. They got right into marketing.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
tell that to fighters who are on these cards all the time. I'm
Yeah.
saying there's a reason why they're making,
Yeah.
$50 million this year
Yeah.
because they worked their asses off. They
Yeah.
don't assign it to someone. They take ownership of their success
Hmm.
and they're working constantly. You're
Yeah.
always trying to get better. You have to be kind of crazy, I think, in a way, crazy good, in that relentless, maybe that's a better word, not crazy, relentless, because if you just keep doing it, you will make little tiny increments, and if you see it over time, little increments, they
Yes.
become massive. You
They
look at the end of the year, it's like, you can't believe how much stuff you've done. And when my kids were each 5, they turned 5, I put them into karate. And I think martial arts, or any kind of, it could be MMA, it could be boxing, that kind of training is so important to get kids started off on the right road, because it will make them better students, and like kinder, and like better with friends and with people, and they'll have less depression, because you're kind of demanding. I mean, I was
Yeah.
not a strict mom, I was pretty lenient, but I said there's a couple things you're going to do, and one
Yeah.
is you're going to go to karate twice a week, and you're going to try your best.
The relentless DNA
Yeah.
runs through the family. That's words speaking directly to the simple fact that we want you all to have success in the careers, but that takes doubling down on what you have to do and making sure you commit to the process. And of course, there's a couple of seconds of really what the benefits of being in a discipline does for you. And sometimes you just have to be an adult. Maybe you always are looking for the fun thing, or maybe you're just always finding yourself doing the thing that's easier. Well, what we do in the world of entertainment and in the educational world is not always fun. It's required. You have to do what you have to do. So maybe you want to see the video that's going to make you laugh, or maybe you want to see the video that's going to make you cry. Maybe you want to find the video that's going to give you some motivation. But the reality is, the difference between the haves and the have-nots is the ones who have are the ones that's producing. So if you're only taking in content, then you're not producing. So you can't really feel bad when things aren't going your way. You have to kind of just eat that stone and chew those bricks and just deal with what it does to your teeth, because that outcome is real. So we want you all to keep your mindset in a place where you're optimistic about life, because see, it's not going to always be fun and games, but the outcome's going to be what you wanted it to be, and it's probably more than likely going to 10x itself. And you're going to need a team of people that are around you. These big mega events don't happen on their own. It takes a mountain of people. So when you are a competitive athlete, here's one of the things that we see on a constant basis is, especially the individuals that have a talent. They have a talent and they think the talent is what gets them through. The gift that you were blessed with at birth is the thing that will be added to the pot of stew. But you can't make stew with one ingredient. Someone has to not only turn the lights on at the venue, but someone has to bring the vendors in there to make that thing happen, or it won't be possible because it's a numbers game. And those people have to know people who are going to be the caveats of selling tickets so that they can pay the rent for that venue. The people that are on your team are going to be responsible for particular things, or those things won't get done. So your gift can only get you into the stew, but it doesn't make the stew. Winning is a good thing. But if you win and you don't have a big audience, that's not a good thing. So we have to make sure that you all have the right understanding of why it's so important to understand what you're seeing in Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, understanding the pure essence of making it clear and being visible. It's not about one individual. It doesn't matter who that individual is. It could be Elon Musk. It could be Mark Cuban. It could be Tom Brady. It can be former presidents. It can be NBA All Stars. It could be soccer stars. It doesn't matter if it's messy or very messy. The bottom line is, it's going to take a collaborative effort. And with a collaborative effort, you're going to get much further. I just had a thought come through my head this morning, and I wanted to share it with you. And we call this the 80-20 rule. And the 80-20 rule is, whatever it is you want in life most, that's where you apply 80% of the time. So if you want to lose weight, you apply the 80-20 rule. Eat 80% of the time you eat healthy, 20% of the time you do whatever you want to do, whether that's go crazy with it, or if you simply just want to have a little treat for yourself, that's fine. The thing about it is minimal negatives come with maximum input, but it does create some form of subtraction. 80-20. If you need more success in your business, try the 80-20 rule. And that applies and it's applicable by doing 80% of the time you're focusing on sales when you want money. If you need more money in your life, 80% of your day and your time is spent making money. Whatever it is, whether that is marketing, running the ads, picking up the phone and calling, shaking hands in a public outing, networking, doing referral handouts, incentive programs, affiliate programs, 80% of your day is convoluted with focusing on the prize, the bag. And that's what'll produce more money. A lot of it's make it rocket science. It's not rocket science, champion. But what it is what you don't want to do or be seen doing. You're going to be seen becoming successful, but I'll beg to differ, because the moment you make the decision to begin your journey is when you become successful, because most people won't even acknowledge or even are conscious that you're already successful for the fact that you've made the decision of. The ones who will never get there is when your mind is okay with not taking a chance. The moment you take a chance, success is already there. Sometimes it takes a period of time for the check to get there to follow it. Sometimes it takes a period of time for the wealth and the acknowledgement to come. But there's plenty of people that reside in the grave that became much more successful after the fact, because value goes up when we know no more of it can be made. That's what you have to think about. So the moment you take a deep dive into going into your successes, what's that look like? It looks like saying, I'm starting, not one day anymore, but day one. Team then surrounds you because of your conviction. The main reason you see all different types of people, success levels, coming in front of us and being a part of this movement is because they are also moving. So what begets success is other people who have the mindset to take that step in the direction of success. So make sure that you don't overthink taking the next step, because the next step is the one that makes you successful. Don't worry about when the bag will get there, because when you start taking the steps, you may not be ready for how much is coming your way. So prepare yourself and always think that my next step makes me successful. If you're going into the direction of the thing that it is that you wanted, remember that. Don't overthink it. And remember, your team also makes the pot of stew. It's going to need other ingredients. And there's a video that I want to share with you, and it's from Oscar De La Hoya. And De La Hoya was on the record kind of expelling why Canelo and him are kind of in a bad place. And they've parted ways, and there's bitter blood. And he kind of, it sounds legitimate, because this is the kind of thing that happens with sensitive egos. So I want you to take a listen to this and tell me what you think down in the comment boxes below. Take a listen.
Let me give you exactly, I figured this one out, right? Let me give you exactly what happened, why he's so mad at me, right? So one day, a reporter asked me, you think Canelo needs another trainer?
I remember that.
Remember that? And I said to the reporter, yeah, you know, maybe that, you know, I had 7 trainers in my career. I learned from every trainer, taught me something new. You know, maybe Eddie Reynoso can use a little help. Well, guess what? They called me what?
Canelo's team?
Not being loyal.
Oh, okay.
He
I
said
thought
I
they
wasn't
called you on the
loyal.
phone
No,
right away.
he
like,
said I wasn't loyal.
yeah.
That how can I do this? How that? So that's how it started. If that's what it was.
You get what I mean? The little things in camp where people get sensitive over things that should not be even thought of twice. If you're doing your job. So the bottom line is what Oscar is saying is that Eddie Reynoso was upset that Oscar De La Hoya mentioned the fact that he could use some help in camp. Everybody doesn't. And it's going to lead me to this video that I'm going to play for you now. I want it to be known that the video speaks directly to and about a scenario. I use particular individuals in this video as examples, but not really throwing any shade because these guys are solid. But there are people out there that are not solid. But just to put it in the context for you all to have a better grasp on what happens when you close your fists and don't want other people to come into your sanctuary because you're fearful of them probably taking over. And that's a problem that we have in the sport of boxing. And we have to get rid of this. So I want you to take a listen because these are the main reasons that fight camps will suffer if they don't change their mentalities and get rid of the egos. Reasons why you as a combat trainer will lose the fighter that you're coaching. Number one, you're not getting the proper guidance to lead him the right way. So he does not understand the path that you're taking him. The skills is one thing, but you have to understand the business of combat. Number two, most of the time you're training him, you're overtraining him and he's not getting the refining that he needs. He's basically just being overcompensated in one area because of what you lack knowing in the other area. And number three, you don't know how to move him. You're putting him on cards and he's fighting guys that don't improve his direction and what he needs to learn through experience in the ring. This will cause him to realize one thing, that you don't know what you're doing. You need experience and you need mentorship. It's key. So if you're doing that, be careful. You don't want to lose your guy. Here's what you can do. Make sure you have someone in your ear helping you, lead you and guide you on how to move a fighter, because moving a fighter, that's a profession in itself. So continue to follow for more if you want to learn how to move your fighters the right way. This is important that you guys really take heed, because what you're seeing around the league is that people lack the ability. And this is where what I put it on. People lack the ability to communicate and say, I need help in my camp. My fighter is fighting the biggest fight of his career, which is always your next fight. It doesn't matter the level of opponent. The biggest fight that you have is the next one. And what I find is that, because it was the exact same thing when I was in the confines of a gym, that coaches have a lack thereof an ability to communicate. They're afraid and ashamed. So that's that little kid inside of them that never got developed, because most of the time they never had that father figure, that upbringing, that man impact in their lives. Like I tell my child all the time, always learn to communicate, always understand how to deal with things with coping mechanisms, and having the courage to talk directly into a man's face and look him directly in his eyes and find out what kind of person he is, because a man's eyes is the key to his soul. And if a man has trouble looking you in the eyes, then a man has a real issue with dealing inside of his soul. And that's a person that's going to be hard to trust because he does not trust himself. So when a man can't find the wherewithal to ask for help, that's not a good person to have in your camp when it concerns your career. If you want to deal with that person outside of your career, that's an entirely different animal. But what I will have you do is say that I will send prayers up for this individual, that they will meet what they need to meet in that mirror when they're looking back, so that they are now know it's okay to ask for help. Because what will happen is that fighter's career gets derailed because this guy wouldn't ask for some help. He wouldn't find it within himself. So anytime you see those little small teams, there's a reason why. It's that I don't really feel comfortable asking for help, or I don't trust people. Well, the thing about it is, it's 8 billion people on the planet. If you don't trust people, you're going to have to jump off the side of the planet, because no matter what you do, there are always going to be people around. The grocery store, schools, your work. Being secluded is one thing for a period of time for your own purposes, but to just be an introvert year round, there's going to be someone else that pays a price for your lack thereof willingness to have other people take part, because it takes other people to team up and have a level of responsibility in that thing that you call a mission, a vision. It won't happen. It won't happen. Or if it does happen, it'll fall apart in an hour. You guys have seen it recently, where everything appears to be going right. Everything. But just like a square, there is a pattern. And in life, the earth is a circle, the universe is covered in stars and planets, and they all have a shape, and they all have a circumference. And it does one thing they all have in common, is it goes around and it comes around. It's the galaxy. That's the rotation. We go around the moon, we go around the sun. It does not change. Moon, sun, we are constantly in rotation. And when you have that, you do not allow anything to impede on your natural rotation. When it does, that's when you got to get things out of the line of fire and back into position to operate like a soldier, because you need the right kind of people with you in a foxhole, not the kind of people that you can't turn your back on, or you can't turn your back on when you're in the foxhole because you're worried about something. If that's what you feel, that's what you attract, because that's what you are. Remember that. So always be leery of people who say things like that, or are afraid to build a team around them. Oh, but they're utilizing the excuse that they're protecting you. No, they're utilizing the excuse because they are the ones that you got to be protected from, and that's the trick of the devil. My mom told me that, and I trust everything coming from a woman of God. So commit to the thing. So another snippet from the conversation last night was pretty much, how can you deal with people when they're trying to build up a personal brand? Well, I'm gonna make it clear to you all. Let's just say you decided to train some athletes, or let's just say you want to be in a sales business, no matter what it is. Let's just say you are a fighter, a person that competes. All right. Okay. The arena opens. You walk in, there's no people in there, but the arena is a 20,000 seat arena. You go in there, nobody's in there, nobody's making money. All they are doing is paying money. All right, you fight. It cost them $2 million before it's all said and done. They got to pay all the athletes and all of this. No parking. Everybody. They got kids, the vendors. That's what they depend on. They depend on people to come so they can make money, so they can feed their families. Because this is what you have to think about. Because it's not only you. When you're too lazy to try to take a step in the direction of building up who you are, your thumbprint, your personal, individualized brand. It's not about you. And you can probably feel I want to call you a name because it's lame. And I want to refrain from any negative energy. But it's the honest truth, because if you think it's easy to do these kind of shows, you're out of your fucking mind. You know what I'm saying? I do it because if you're going to do something, you got to be all the way in. You got to put both feet in. You can't go to training camp and not build a public, not build an audience and sell tickets. That's stupid, people. If you think that, you're ridiculous and you're lazy and you need to switch your career, because all you're doing is costing kids not to eat and people not to be able to pay their bills, because it costs a lot of money to put on these kind of events that we're talking about. And people like Jake Paul have saved the sport of boxing for the next generations to come, because they brought an entire new demographic. But you see people hating, and every single person that has a hatred towards Jake is because they hate that it's not them. That's all they hate. I don't care if you're in the sport of boxing, so am I. And I don't give a personal two shits about what you think, because I got 4 decades in this thing and I'm lineage. So autonomy, whatever you think doesn't matter to me. And I'm sure it doesn't matter to Jake. So you need to decide, regardless if you watch or not, you need to understand, if you're going to be a part, you need to play your part and stop being a lazy fuck and start doing what you need to do and stop crying. I don't want to sell tickets. And nobody wants you to be on their card, because that's what's going to happen. So make a decision. You either apply the 80-20 rule or get out of the way for somebody else to, because this is a part of your training camp. You can make out the word in your mind, what I'm saying to you. And, you know, I mean, all due respect for those who come and they try. I go to their timeline. They working, they trying. But those who haven't even made an attempt, I go to your timeline. You ain't posted twice in a month. That's pathetic. I will never vie for you. But we got people like this, who are doing soldier work. Triller TV.
You want to tell your story.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Love authenticity. They love people who are real. And, that's why even if you look at talk show hosts like, Howard Stern and Joe Rogan or whatever, they didn't have easy lives. In fact, sometimes, and I think a lot of people would agree with me that, the people who've had a harder life sometimes have an advantage over people who had helicopter parents and never really made any mistakes or had, leeway. And I worry a little bit about some of the parenting styles that I saw, going.
And see, this is the thing. My question to her was basically, you cannot take a step if you don't know how to take a step. So I was just asking Kim, please, what can they do and how could they take the first step? How could they just take that little leap and put themselves in a position to say something? How will it look? She just said, tell your story. Ask your friends, what do you like about me? And, what do you think is attractive as far as a good quality? Start there, practice. And the conversation, there'll be clips all week of this conversation because there's so many bullet points. And I stuck my neck out for you guys who want to actually get in the world in the game. Whether you've had a contract in boxing, UFC, or BK FC, it doesn't matter. Your opportunity is now, because this is how we kind of went into this part.
Trash talk and his gamemanship, and he also fought for a Triller event that we had once called Triad Combat, and he won there too, and that was kind of the beginning where things were going well. And then at BKFC he found his home, like, yeah, this is my sport. And he's just tremendous, and he's a great promoter. Again, he's one of these guys. Like, we will ask some people, like, hey, will you do a liner for us or tag and promote? That we're on Fight this Saturday or whatever. That the guys that make all the money will say yes. I can get Jake Paul to do something. We can get KSI to do something for us. We can do all these people who are making money. But then you ask some guy lower on the card, will you do this for me? And then they never get around to it. And it's like, there's a reason why you're not moving ahead.
But this is how it happens.
And the whole thing with BKFC is so great because they have this prospect series.
Yes.
And so they're always looking for people to come and try it. They're doing tryouts. And if you're good enough, then you get on the prospect show. And you know, I love it when organizations have a pathway where if you want to work for them, I mean, it's kind of like the old studio system in Hollywood or whatever. You know, there used to be like kind of pathways where you would go and you'd go, you study with this person, then you get on here. And now it's like, it's not like that. It's who you know. And for the most part, it's who you know.
Yes.
But BKFC has been very proactive in finding the next BKFC fighter. And because sometimes, people that maybe they don't think that they would do well doing that, or maybe they used to be an MMA fighter, but like it's too much, you know, damage to the legs for all the kickboxing or the takedown. But you know, they can still do stand up. You know, I got the cardio and I got that, you know, handwork, but it's just, you know, I don't want to be pulled to the ground. Or a lot of people go, oh, that's that new sport. But you know, as you know, no, that's an old sport. You know, prior to the Queensberry rule.
Yes. The bottom line is that's as real as it get. And what I was able to do is, you know, let you guys all know. And I came back just to intermission for a second because we only got like 3.5 minutes left. But I do want you guys to really listen to what our conversation was. And of course, you know, relationships happen because there's a common goal, and the goal is success. The goal is breaking through and doing, you know, astronomical numbers. Like they have one of the biggest pay-per-views on record with Roy Jones and Mike Tyson back in like 2021, 22. You know, that's how they came into the game, like stomping their feet. This is the same opportunities that you will have. It's closer to you than you think. And I told you, always leave comments so that you could all get an opportunity to be seen. Because if you're in the fight game and you've been hesitant about reaching out, we got people all the time saying, I've been following you for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. You got people who are just scared, but they lack communication skills. I just like to address what it is. So listen to the rest as we really got convoluted into the deep discussion about you guys.
I'm sure you talked about this
rules
too. You know, the expression "take the gloves off." That's because you would only spar with gloves. You know, because you didn't want to get hurt when you do the fight. It's time to take the gloves off, get in the squared circle, and okay, now go for it.
There are hundreds of people that reach out to the page every single month. We got 1.1 million people across 3 platforms. So when you guys are having those, please make sure you tag Master Boxing when you're having those tryouts and stuff like that, because we have people want to do it. Connections is everything.
Oh yeah, and you're in a great location because you're in South Florida, right?
Yes.
And that's where so many fighters live. It's like Fight Central, whether it's MMA, BKFC, boxing, it's all there. And that's where, like BKFC, their home away from home kind of is the Hard Rock in Fort Lauderdale, right?
Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood.
Hollywood.
You guys have some really big things coming up. Like this weekend, Triller is going to get it popping. You know,
it is. And, you know, AEW is like our biggest client because and normally we only carry their pay-per-view events outside the US.
Big business. So you're one page, you're one comment, you're one DM away. Now, what's your excuse? Do you really want the smoke in the world of combat? Right? Now, you go to bed tonight, you look in the mirror before you brush your teeth. Hopefully, you brush your teeth before you go to sleep. You look in the mirror and you say, God is talking to me. He just opened the door for me visually. These conversations are extremely relevant and they're calculated for production. We don't just talk just to talk and say bye. We talk because there needs to be something that comes from this. And the word last night was reciprocity. the word tonight is get off your ass and start making moves, because moves don't get made by themselves. And it's easy to kick back on the couch, slice a steak, sip on a Cuban coffee, and talk, pillow talk. But when you got a responsibility, when you're omnipresent, you got to make a choice, success or regular. Then I like success, and I like to see people who want success. And if you take the time and remember what I said throughout this entire broadcast, the 80-20 rule, 80% of the things, 80% of the time spent on the thing that you want most, whatever that thing is, 80%, weight loss, 80%, more muscle, 80%, a bigger circle of people, 80% network, more money, sell, whatever it is, product or service, sell it. 80% of your day selling. If you're not getting the numbers, you are just not selling. If you're not losing the weight, you're not on the diet. If you're not building a social circle, you're not networking. That is the 80-20 rule. When you start applying it, everything changes, and you say, wow, that's all I needed to do. Yeah, keep it simple. So hopefully, I'm not saying hopefully, I'm telling you, our Father above will send you a raft, a lifeboat, a helicopter. He'll do all of those things. What you have to do is decide that you're going to jump into one of them so that you can have your best life, because your best life looks a certain way. And it looks like you either need to shit or get off the pot for the next man up, because nobody has time to wait for you. Keep that in mind. 80-20 rule. Reciprocity is real. Make sure you tag a friend that you know wants an opportunity like that, because guess what? Next man up. The world don't wait. Everything is what? Circular. The circle never stops. The cycle never stops. So don't get in the way of the traction. Be the man that you can be trusted in the foxhole. Don't find yourself in a state of introvercy that you can just be an introvert to a fault. Build the team, because you need people on your team that will be there to have your back, to help you through situations so you won't have to learn the hard way. So these are the lessons tonight. So take all of these lessons, roll them up, and get out of here. And I'll see you all soon in the winner circle. Peace out.